Hey there, friend bats. This week we have a listener submitted request. We are going to be looking at Decadent Circus, specifically their demo from 2007, but it's also just the only thing that they have on Spotify put on in 2020. But this is a band from Mexico City. It is a trio. I think, Scarecrow, you have the names of the band members pulled up?
Yeah, it is Gonzo, Chaka, and Audra.
Yeah. And listening to it in 2020, like you think, oh, this was released in 2020. This is very much like, wow, modern death rock, but it's actually from 2027, like I mentioned, and it very much fits into the revival era that we heard.
You said 2027.
I did.
Yes.
Sorry, 2007. So in 2020, like if you listen to this on Spotify, you're like, oh, this released in 2020. This is awesome. Death rock nowadays is doing great things, but this was very much a 2007 release, and it fits right into that little happy period that we had at the towards the beginning of death rock revival, and it sounds like it, especially with a lot of the other death rock revival bands that have come out of Mexico specifically, where it has the chanting, wailing, shrieking, Roz Williams dialed up to 11 kind of vocals, which I don't mind. I like that in death rock.
hmm Yeah, same here. That's honestly what I look for in death rock. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. They do have a lot of the markers that you look for, like of Christian death, the witchy, shrieking, wailing, chanting. But they cast a lot more atmosphere, which is, I think, a marker that we tend to kind of associate with modern death rock revival now.
I agree. You'd actually made a good point earlier when we were talking about this album that you think that that dialing up of theatricality is because Christian Death relied more heavily on stage antics for theatricality, and without those, it's dialed up in the music where, like, Decadent Circus, this falls squarely into what I call carnival death rock, meaning you have these baroque sounds and specifically the calliope in this music. It puts me in mind of music from, say, Castrati or Violet Stigmata from around the same period, who are other bands that I would classify as carnival death rock. It is a sound I absolutely love.
Yeah, it's definitely got this dark, creepy circus carnival feel to it. I'm not too familiar with the calliope. Can you tell me a little bit about that instrument?
Yeah, so the calliope, it's typically associated with like traveling carnivals, or for me, it was when I was growing up, the zoo had one on their merry-go-round, and it's an instrument that it's typically very loud. Of course, you want to attract people to your decadent circus, so to speak, but they were originally steam powered, but it's like a pipe organ. So it operates through pushing gas or steam because they were originally like I think attached to steam engines. Don't quote me on that though. And that comes out through like a series of whistles, and it makes that really distinctive like circus flair.
Okay. Very interesting. I've never
Yeah.
bothered to look into it too much, but yeah, that's something I'd be very curious about, like how exactly they're doing this. Is this just like all synthesized sound now, or is this, are we actually having death rock artists with like little organ grinders off to the side here for these performances?
That's a great question. I don't know back in 2007, but I know that now if you're messing around in, say, Ableton or something like that, you can pull up a Calliope sound and just get that to play.
I still like the idea of people hauling around like mini calliopes in the backs of their tour vans.
This sound is used like very heavily on the fade in and fade out tracks. So the roughly 10 minutes that can be devoted to, say, the intro and outro tracks on a 21-minute demo. And the maniacal laughing that sounds like those.
Harkens back to the evil laughing clown of Pee Wee Herman, Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, that too. So there's definitely a lot of very evocative, creepy sounds
Mhm.
in this album, in this demo, but the middle meat of it relies very heavily on these very horror-coded guitars. They're much heavier than, say, a lot of old school death rock, but in the same way, they're not like the like 45 Grave guitars.
Mhm.
They have more of a shrieking instead of a grinding.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed there's a lot more like of the sliding grindy kind of, oh, what's the word for it? Like kind of like the fret slides that you kind of hear in like
Yeah,
Bauhaus.
the pick slides.
Yes.
And you've honestly, like, if I listened to this and didn't know anything about the band, I would have immediately pegged it as Spanish death rock, even though the lyrics are all in English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got the Mexican death rock sound that I'm really starting to grow very fond of as I'm learning more about it.
All right. So thank you to Antichrist363 on YouTube for commenting on our last review and asking us to review this one specifically. I had a lot of fun with it. I had completely put Decadent Circus, like, I bought their stuff in 2020. I hadn't listened to it really much in the last like 2 years or so. It was really great being able to return to this album and still find that I love it.
Yeah, please send in more like suggestions like this. We are all about it. Because I mean we like everybody else get caught into like a circle of bands and artists and stuff that we're kind of peering around. And sometimes we'll forget about other ones that we've discovered a while back, or sometimes we just outright completely miss bands. So
Yeah.
suggestions are always appreciated because we're always looking for something new. And
Absolutely. So that said, next week we probably will not have an upload because I am traveling to the great white north to see family for the holidays and stuff, but it'll still be a mix at least. If we can somehow manage to do things on what I know is very limited rural, like rural ass Wisconsin internet, I'll try to record something, try to get it edited if Scarecrow also has time because I know that they're busy with the holidays as well. So,
I'll probably be around.
yeah, so if we don't see you before Yule, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever it is you celebrate, the downfall of capitalism, any of that, happy holidays and a very merry new year. And we'll see you later. Love you. Bye bye.